everyone, and welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. My co-host Andrew McKenzie is actually behind the cameras today. He had to sit behind the cameras, unfortunately, because editor Rocky had a prior commitment. But that's all good. Life happens. We all move on. We keep functioning, and we go from there. Today's podcast, whoa, man, what a doozy. Tim Bell, lighting designer, musician, a behind-the-scenes creative. Now, I know that sounds a little bit odd, but he's kind of one of those guys that is, if like a band is touring, he'll do lighting, or if there's like a corporate event that needs to happen, he'll do the lighting, or if sound or stage building and management and stuff like that. That's what he does. So he does all of the work behind the scenes to make the artists, whatever's happening, make them look and sound like $1 million. So that's kind of what he does. So the whole podcast itself, look, I'll be honest, to those of you that are watching and listening, it went off the rails. And I'll say more than once too. There were times where I could not control myself from the laughter. It was one of the funniest, most spontaneous, podcasts that we've ever done, and it was comedy gold, and it started right out of the gate. And I'll make sure that if either producer Andrew or editor Rocky, whoever edits this podcast, make sure they keep in the very first part, because I think the very first sentence that he says sets the tone for the whole podcast. There were times we were serious and we did talk about a few things, but honestly, it was just more you know what? You should watch. You should listen. This was unlike any other podcast we've ever done. And I know that there have been some artists that we've had where we kind of get to the last sort of third, and all the humour starts coming out, and people feel comfortable and a bit more relaxed, so they start opening up a bit. With Tim, as I said, first sentence just goes from that point onwards, and he holds nothing back, and I mean nothing at all. There, like if he's thinking something and then it comes out, there is like no gateway, there's no filter, it is just out. And for me that was very refreshing, but also I struggled to keep it together at times, but I'm really glad I did. So without further ado, let's sit down and have a conversation with Tim Bell. That's how it starts. It's just we just clap and then we start. We don't really have any set structure. Tim!
I cuddled a prostitute when I was 17 because I thought I was going to get a massage.
Welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. It's lovely to have you here in your capacity as a creative person.
I shouldn't be wearing my business top.
It's fine. And I have to say that for the first time, someone is more underdressed than I am, because I wear this for every episode. The reason being is so that I look bland as anything, allowing the guests to stand out more.
And look at me now.
Thank you very much for wearing all black. That is really, really legendary.
This is my go-to outfit for everything, whether it's business or social things. So.
Okay, right. So
this
is obviously quite a social setting.
Yeah, this is nice.
And a business shirt.
It's good.
It is. Thank you very much for being a podcast person. I was going to say victim or something like that, but no, I really do appreciate you coming in. For those of you that are watching and listening, I have no idea how any of these podcasts go, and this one could be one of the more chaotic ones. Editor Andrew is sitting in the background right now, raising his eyebrows like, yeah, there's some weird shit's going to happen. So just please bear with us. We will try and keep on task.
We'll see. I don't want to lose any more contracts.
But After hearing some of the stories already, I make no guarantees. Now, your creative endeavour is very, very different from anything that we've had on so far. Yes, you're a musician. And what's your main instrument out of choice, by the way?
I taught myself piano when I was a kid, so I sway towards that a lot more. I do a bit of producing and make some cheesy pop music.
Nice.
Using FL Studio on the old computer there.
Oh man, it's another guy that uses. So the guy that wrote the intro music for the podcast, he uses FL Studio as well. Yeah, great piece of software. Steve, big shout out to you, mate. Really appreciate you giving us the song Hoofprints 2. Because I don't think Hoofprints 1 was ever actually a thing.
Oh, it wouldn't have existed.
No, it doesn't exist. It's just he likes making random names, which is great. But obviously with music, that's kind of a secondary thing. You have another main creative expression, but it's also a job.
Yes.
Which is and that is...
Well, I run Beltec.
Beltec.
So that's the big word.
That's the shameless self-promotion logo that he's got on his shirt.
I forget sometimes, and that's why I say the ridiculous things I do. But yeah, so I'm a lighting technician, designer, I suppose. Yeah, that's a pretty creative outlet.
What exactly? So we get a lot. We've had a lot of people that are usually more on the forefront of creativity. So they're usually, I guess, in front of the camera and stuff like that. But you're very much behind the scenes, right?
More so, yeah, for sure.
What exactly is a lighting designer? Sorry, I didn't mean to use that term like it doesn't really exist. But
what a real job you got.
Tell us about this lighting designer role that you have.
Less so these days, but you meet with the directors or the performers and find out what they want, and then you go away and pretend you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Fling up a whole lot of lights, and each light has a different purpose. Okay,
and you obviously get paid for this imaginary work?
Well, most of the time, yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's all good.
So, yes, lighting design is a real thing, and it is actually quite important as well. You obviously do like plays and theatre shows and music. Do you do like movies and TV as well, or do you mainly stick to the live stuff?
Well, I was really interested in getting into TV and film lighting, but...
was that about 2.5 years ago?
No.
Okay. Lockdown would have affected that for everyone, really.
No, I tried with my friend Isaac Bell, another shameless plug there. He's a very talented short film producer at the moment.
I know I've seen one of these short films, and they are undescribable. They are absolutely, it's stuff of legend.
The older stuff for sure.
The older stuff, absolutely. And if I don't know if you can find it anymore, but if you can, highly recommend checking it out. Topical. We'll call it topical.
Yeah, controversial.
Yes. Let's go back. Let's go right all the way back.
Sure.
You were born in London.
London, yeah.
Yeah. So you're born in London. Did you sort of discover creativity like quite early on in the piece, or did it just sort of take time for it to sort of come in? How did that go?
I was always a very eccentric, flamboyant child.
Okay.
And Whangarei's managed to really beat that out of me, which is good. Because it's not good to stand out too much here. No, I was made fun of as a kid for being that way.
Okay, yeah.
Got into theatre when I was probably about 6 or 7, and part of the local theatre companies, and that was pretty cool. But I really wanted to be on stage. I really wanted to be the centre of attention for a long time, and that comes out when I drink, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But no.
Or when you're doing short films.
Or when I'm doing short films.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, I do like being behind the scenes and supporting other people to be the centre of attention.
Okay. So you sort of, when did you start hitting the stage? Like primary school, intermediate, high school?
Yeah, it would have been primary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 6 or 7, doing the drama classes. We did our first shows when I was about 7 or 8 or something like that.
Can you remember any of them?
I remember this, it was like Shakespeare. which is, it was a hard run for a kid.
Yeah,
So I didn't remember any of my lines. And I was the princess in one of these shows. It was a damsel in distress. I was wearing a dress.
Yeah.
Which I was okay with. It was a nice dress, and I just let everyone down in the show.
Okay,
I couldn't remember lines. I cracked up. Like, we did a show at the one of the retirement homes, and you could just see the look of disgust and disappointment in the old people's eyes, and why are you here?
Oh.
Yeah, but they liked the dress. But no, I got out of it after that. I couldn't do it. But I auditioned for lots of things, but I think they just knew that I couldn't be bothered.
And it was like learning the lines just too much. I want to take the easy street.
Well, I was quite into playing computer games when I was a kid, and riding my bike and doing everything else other than sitting still and learning things. Yeah.
And then now, how long were you in England for?
I moved here when I was 8 months old. And
moved to Whangarei?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But been back a few times since. But
okay.
I was barely there, but managed to retain the accent till I was probably about 12 or 13, I suppose.
Wow. Okay. All right, that's crazy. Now, so where did you do your sort of high schooling?
I went to Whangarei Boys High School.
Whangarei Boys High School. A boys' high school.
So I don't have any qualms with being honest about my experience there, but I left when I was towards the end of 15.
Oh, okay.
Didn't do greatly in the NCA. I was probably the first year that did NCA.
Oh, and that sort of transition handover year?
Yeah, so the teachers didn't know what they were doing, and the students lost interest pretty quick. So
okay.
Dropped out of school pretty early, and I was actually bunking school to be down at Forum North and helping the technicians down there quite a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was doing what I was wanting to do when I was a teenager, essentially, and the careers advisor is like, you're never going to be anything if you keep skipping school. And so now I've got a company doing exactly that.
Which is amazing in itself, right?
Well, I don't think they're still alive for me to go, told you so, but...
With a careers advisor?
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah, okay. So did you sort of discover backstage stuff in high school?
Backstage stuff, I was actually... it was at the Octagon Theatre. I was probably about 10 or 11.
Oh, wow, that young?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put backstage by myself doing some cool little special effects things. But then got poached by the lighting guy to be a lighting guy there, and it was pretty cool.
So, wait, at age 11?
Yeah.
11, 12?
Yeah, the guy who ran the theatre at the time sort of put me in charge of lighting when I was about 11 or 12, yeah.
So how many years have you been doing lighting then?
Since I was 10, I think.
Wow.
Learned what a Fresnel was about then, yeah, 9 or 10.
That's... Because you're... How old are you now?
Oh...
In your 30s?
Yeah, I'm 34.
Okay, right. In your 30s. So, yeah, that's over 20 years.
It doesn't necessarily mean I got a huge amount better over time. I just I just did it for longer.
Okay, right. Suddenly you were like, I can do this and get away with things, so I'll just do it.
Indeed. But when I got a bit older, I discovered the whole world of being a technician and discovered the audio side, discovered video and everything that went into it, theming, and started spreading myself a bit thinner. And if I had specialised in lighting like 100%, I probably would have been a lot better at it than I am now. But I'm actually really grateful that I've diversified a bit, because that's what kept us going over COVID, obviously, being able to do multiple different things.
Yeah. That's obviously something I was going to sort of touch on a bit later on. How hard was COVID? Because for a lighting company, or is it specialise in lighting?
Audio visual, yeah.
AV,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. If it wasn't for the subsidies, we would have gone pretty bankrupt pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah.
So we're grateful for that. Yeah, we were pretty screwed right up until level 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously you're sort of quite reliant on the entertainment industry, almost not wholly, but that's sort of the majority of the work.
Entertainment makes up a fair amount of it. It's mostly, I'd say, events, like corporate events, school stuff. Yeah, there's plenty to it.
Yeah, and obviously with all of, with level 2, there wasn't a lot of that going on.
No.
I read an article today about the Killers, who, great American band. I really enjoy their stuff. They came back just before, or they'd come back to New Zealand just before the big nationwide lockdown, and they were like, it's hard to believe we're back, and it certainly felt that way for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. Like, it's been a hell of a 2.5 years. I think we can all say that.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going back. We'll figure it all out. So you're at high school. You've left at 15, 16, 15?
Late 15, yeah.
Late 15?
Yep.
But what does someone do at late 15? Did you go out and get a job? Were you just unemployed? What did you do?
I'm trying to remember, actually. I worked at the dairy at the bottom of our road for a bit.
Right.
Destination Dairy on $5 an hour.
Man, the good old days.
Yeah, the glory days.
Yeah.
And then I got a job at the Shiraz Indian Cafe at the warehouse when there was still a cafe there.
Oh wow! I didn't even know there was one there.
No, it's that's gone now. It's now the help area. And then after that, warehouse stationery, being a computer salesman, was pretty cool.
Right.
I did pretty well there, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Again, the technical side of things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, I was pretty good at sales because I talked a lot of shit.
Okay. So you had a sales strategy and technique.
Totally.
That's as someone who's been in sales for a number of years, it's not it's not the shit you talk. It's with the confidence that you
totally
have. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Do I sound believable? And the answer is yes. So you're at warehouse stationery. Are you still doing plays and stuff after hours as well, or how's that still going? Did you take a break?
Did I take a break? I went to Unitech when I was 16, going on 17, and did theatre production technology there.
Oh wow!
And that was cool. So I sort of delved into the professional theatre down there, which was a huge wake up call from the amateur stuff that we were doing in Whangarei.
Yeah.
And totally different world and met nicer people. Whoops.
You met some different people.
Yeah, different people.
Andrew's laughing in the background.
It's just less toxic, depending on where you look. But everyone, sort of supports each other a lot more in the professional industry. It seemed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just saw a certain part of it, but definitely with the actors and whatever. But I got to work on some cool shows with. I think we did the what's that thing? Threepenny Opera.
The Threepenny Opera. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was at the University Theatre that got ripped down in the last few years. The Maidment Theatre in Auckland.
That's right. I know that one. Yeah.
That was Jennifer Ward-Leyland, and my husband directed that. That was
Michael
just
Ward. Yeah.
Michael Ward. That's the one. That was just a huge eye-opening experience, and it was real cool. And I was sort of addicted, and then I don't know. Everything I've ever done was ruined by alcohol, so I got a pretty dreamy job working with one of the best lighting designers in the country, and sort of screwed that up a little bit. But I was young. That was when I was probably about 22. But
I think we've all done dumb stuff at the age of the late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, no, just the frontal lobe stuff was frontal cortex hasn't quite.
It's underdeveloped at that point, and it's even worse when you're drinking that much that you pickle the front lobe as well.
Yeah.
Who did you work with?
Like performer-wise or directors and stuff?
No, the top lighting designer.
Oh well, I mean, no, I'm sorry, Jeremy Fern.
Jeremy Fern. Okay.
He's a good dude, but I let him down, and I'm sorry, Jeremy, if you ever see this.
Jeremy, if you're listening or watching this podcast, or if this makes its way to you, Tim sincerely apologises.
Yeah, I aspired to be his lighting assistant or his design assistant, and I was for a brief time, and then I screwed that up like every other opportunity I've had.
It's always good to be honest and be able to self-reflect on our lives.
Totally.
Yes.
So about 3 to 6 months in, when I was 17 at Unitech, lots of partying at the accommodation village.
Mm-hmm.
I intervened a domestic dispute between a couple of, a Russian couple.
Okay, right.
And got this beautifully developed nose for the thanks for doing that.
It's like, thank you so much for sorting it out.
Yeah.
Let us help you with a free nose job.
There we go. So I had to have reconstructive surgery on my face for that.
Wow, okay.
So I dropped out of uni tech in the first year. Came back to Whangarei for a bit. Did teenage stuff. Worked at Domino's.
Oh, yep.
As you do. And then went back to Auckland a while later and finished off that whole thing.
So you actually finished the Unitec course?
Eventually, yeah.
Was it a diploma or a degree?
Yeah, diploma.
Okay, nice. When you were sort of going through and doing that the first time, for people that are watching or listening, sometimes you don't have the understanding of sort of the differences between, I guess, what they call amateur theatre and professional theatre. For you, without being too negative about it, what were some of the fundamental differences that you noticed behind the scenes, obviously?
I think the amateur theatre, everyone who's involved gets a lot more caught up in the actual, day-to-day politics of the theatre. And I think it becomes quite toxic in that respect. So everyone's starting to talk behind each other's back. In the professional industry, sure, there's probably some backstabbing going on there too, but they just know their time and place to do it, and that time and place isn't all the time to everyone.
Yeah. Like you're on set with purpose, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
From your observations, would you say things have gotten better over the time, or have they sort of stayed the same?
More or less the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is hugely gutting, and I think it excludes a lot of new people from the environment as well.
Right, okay.
So I think, if I'm sure this is all around the world, though. It's not especially in Whangarei.
No, I mean, I've done theatre in a lot of different sort of provinces around North Island, and it is kind of one of those things that kind of floats around, politicking. But I mean, that's...
ruins everything.
Well, I was going to say, it's not always a bad thing, but sure, we can go with your one as well if you like.
Well, it ruins everything, but it also can be a good thing if people are on the same page, which sometimes they are, sometimes they're not.
Yeah. Okay. I always find it interesting when people start something and then they leave, but then they go back to complete it. You're obviously you're young and you're in amongst this amazing environment where you're working with professional people, you're working with industry leaders who are super knowledgeable and been around, and by your own admission, you kind of make a bit of a meal of it. And then you come back to Whangarei. What made you decide, no, I actually want to go back and finish this? What sort of set that off?
I had a taste of living in Auckland and being surrounded by lots of magical people from all around the world, and coming back to Whangarei really drove home how quiet and different it is up here, and I really felt like I was slipping again, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I did quite a lot of living in that period of time. I'm very spontaneous, so I'd go off and do random missions with friends. Did some apple picking in Motueka.
Oh yeah, nice.
Worked for Hallensteins for a bit. Again, got fired from that one.
Okay, right.
I worked for a liquor store in Motueka after I just got bad at apple picking, I suppose.
Right, okay, yep.
Got fired from that one too.
Okay, right, yeah.
But it was after that. My mum saw an advert in the paper for a local Ashley McCaw started Active Attitude, and they were seeking someone who wanted to write some children's music and star in the DVD as well. So I wrote some children's songs.
Okay.
And it was during one of the most depressive times of my life. I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot of weed, and so so these children's songs are all about escapism. Come away with me, we'll get away from all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so went back to Unitec after that once I figured it out.
Nice. Northland Artists Conversation is proud to support 116. 116 are located on Bank Street in Whangarei, and an amazing venue that you can actually hire. If you're looking to hold an event or looking to hire a venue for a special occasion, 116 on Bank Street are an absolutely fantastic place. You can simply contact them via email off their website or through Facebook as well. 116 have had such amazing events in the past as the Whangarei Fringe Festival, and they've also held the Plunge pop culture convention there as well. They also have local artists that also put performances on, as well as incoming artists that come into the region as well and want to be able to do things like have plays or perform music or any of those sorts of cool things. 116 are also home to the amazing Beagle radio station as well, which is a local initiative that is all set up with some very, very talented people that actually love what they do, and they do it all for free. So it's very, very cool. So 116 on Bank Street, proudly supported by the Northland Artists Conversation. So you obviously spent a bit of time sitting down and creating this work for Active Attitude. And you wrote the songs, and did you do the filming as well?
I was being filmed. I was the co-host.
Okay.
Yeah, the other guys filmed it and did the lighting and that kind of stuff.
Right. And from there, is it that point that you went, I need to go back to Auckland?
I actually can't remember the moment that I needed to go back. I think I just wanted to go back to Auckland full stop.
Right, okay,
I miss my friends down there and whatever. But yeah, no, they invited me back once I made the phone call. I thought they were going to be like, no, you wasted our time, never come back. But they were quite excited because I was a bit older, hopefully a bit more mature, and gotten some life experience as well.
Yeah, yep.
So they hoped that I was going to be a good role model.
Okay.
And
how did that work out?
Yeah, no, I wasn't a very good role model.
Okay.
I became the ringleader.
Right, okay, right. So you've gone from being a cult follower to a cult leader.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
So Brad Gledhill, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry.
For the viewers and listeners of the podcast that watch normally, this will probably be one of the more chaotic, we said chaotic at the start, and also one of the more apologetic podcasts. I seem to get the feeling. We've had 3 apologies so far.
It's just a public announcement. And
it is.
Going through all
we need a full, there just needs to be a full PSA.
I'm sorry to everyone.
Okay.
And there's going to be more apologies to come.
I'm sure they will. So Brad?
No, well, he's brilliant. He was our lighting teacher and assistant sort of course director.
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome. He's really talented, and I'd say he's probably one of the top lighting guys in the country at the moment, and really artistic, experimental stuff as well. And tried to learn as much as we could from him, but I think that year they were just really looking forward to the end of that and getting us out of there. We're still passed.
Right, nice. Where did you sort of go from that point onwards? Because, I mean, lighting, sort of much like drama or any of the artistic fields where you kind of get a diploma or a degree, it's you don't really go, well, I can do this and now I can go off into the big bad world and do everything. It's not broad, it's quite narrow in focus. Yeah,
well, the main thing is even on the course we were told, don't be too proud of having this as a diploma because it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, you're not going to get jobs based on this. It's but you'll meet lots of people, and throughout the 2-year course, you meet all the industry people that you're going to need to know by the end of the course. So we learned a lot at the course itself.
Yeah.
But then it was more about the connections we were going to make for becoming professionals after that, and that's what actually happened. And like I said, I sort of screwed that up, being young and irresponsible. But lots of people have gone on to be really successful from that course and travel the world and end up in places like the West End and LA and, and stuff. We're doing some pretty cool things.
That's very cool. So, but where did you go?
I
obviously not to West End in LA, or did you?
No, I ended up living in Titirangi in my mate's caravan in the back of his garden.
Okay.
Wishing I was still with my ex.
That wasn't Ashley?
No, it was few since then, but
Okay.
I wasn't very good at those. I got into a bit of a rut because I wasn't having any money, and I was in sickness benefit. I don't know if you noticed the scar on my face. I went through a glass ranch slider when I was 21.
Really?
Mm.
Now, this is going to sound really dumb. It'll be one of the many dumb things I say during this podcast. Was it on accident or on purpose?
Oh, definitely accident.
Okay.
We were playing. We'd just started our game of Circle of Death, so I wasn't even drunk.
Right.
So if I'd been drunk, that would have been a wake-up call. Stop drinking, but I wasn't, so I just kept drinking. So you know, there's a toilet card in Circle of Death.
Yes.
Well, my mate, I won't name her, but Claire pulled the toilet card.
I won't name her, but Claire. Okay, right.
So she went to the toilet and obviously hogged the toilet for a bit, and I also needed to go to the toilet. And I said, "Does it count if I go outside and pee off the deck?" And they said, "Nah, that's fine." Of course it counted. I don't know how that's a rule, but went outside. I think it was winter-ish. And so I left the ranch slider open, went out to the balcony. Someone must have closed it behind me. I noticed my friends outside, so I didn't even pee. I was like, oh, I can't pee in front of all you guys. Well, not sober. And so I talked to them, finished talking to them, turned around, my foot got caught under the lip going inside.
Oh, yep.
Crashed through the plate glass. And
wow.
One of the shards must have come down and went straight through my femoral artery and my nerve. Completely severed it. I was bleeding into my jeans. No one could see it. I couldn't move my leg or anything. And all people could notice was my hand and my face. But I was like, I can't move my leg. And they're surrounded by nurses, luckily. And they started cutting off my jeans, which I was annoyed about because they were new. And
like new Levi 501s or something like that?
Well, I was quite attached to them.
Okay.
And they cut up the leg, and all the blood just spilled out onto the carpet. It was pretty horrific. And that's when they noticed there was a pretty severe femoral bleed.
That's where they thought we might have a problem?
Yes. And so luckily over the road was a orthopedic surgeon, Sarah Murgatroyd. And it sounds like I'm making it up. But no, that was very much her name. And she was going to be attending the party later on.
But she decided to join a little bit earlier?
Yeah, she came a bit earlier.
Okay, right.
And she was the one that saved my life.
Really?
The paramedics didn't do very well, and so they got retrained after the event. But yeah, she saved my life. And I think I stopped breathing in the ambulance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was pretty horrific.
And said so very matter-of-factly. I nearly died, but, you know.
Life goes on.
Here we are. I had a beer a few days later.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, that happens. I was on a sickness benefit living in Langham in Auckland.
Living in a trailer park.
Just in my mate's garden.
Your mate's garden. Well, your mate's
mum's garden.
Mate's mum's garden.
Yeah.
Lawn. In a caravan.
In the caravan inside.
Yeah.
And
at least it's not a van down by the river.
I was so lonely that sometimes I'd leave like a drink can of like lemonade or something on the table in the caravan just so the ants would come and keep me company. So I'd get a trail of ants. I was like, help yourself, boys. And after that, my mate Lance in Australia said, "Oh, come over here, I'll get you a job putting air conditioning units into the prefabs that go off to the mines."
Right, okay, yep.
So there's my Australia journey there.
How old were you when you decided to head to Australia?
About 22.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. If you're watching and listening at home or on your mobile device or wherever you are, I'm now going to apologise in advance. I can't stop laughing.
Nothing horrific happens in this section of the story, though, so it's okay.
Thank the maker. Okay, so you're in Australia putting aircon units into prefab houses.
Yeah.
Okay. It's obviously quite a way away from lighting.
Yeah.
Could you, and that's an interesting question, I was thinking about that before, could you have moved from theatre lighting into like commercial or residential lighting? Is that something that you can...
No.
kind of parlay across to?
Oh, well, I mean, potentially there's a fair amount of lighting design in commercial sectors. You know, like brand new buildings, they want to flash, and there's obviously quite a lot of architectural lighting design goes into that. But no, I wasn't terribly interested. I kind of needed a break from the whole thing. I've been doing it more or less non-stop since I was a kid, so
Okay, yeah.
try new things.
Well, at 22, you'd have been doing it for about 12 years. Pretty steadily, right?
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So we're in Australia. Are you in Perth?
We're in Brisbane at this point.
We're in Brisbane at this point. What did you get up to during that time? Are you involved in theatre over there, or have you just gone, no, lighting, done, dusted, I'm out?
I had a clean start.
Right,
over there.
okay, right.
Try new things, live life a bit, have a proper job and earn some money.
Yep.
And then me and my mate had a bit of a night out. And we shouldn't have gone to work, but we did. And so I lost that job.
Producer Andrew's trying his best at the moment, viewers and listeners, to keep it together as best as possible. Okay, right, so we had a big night out. We lost that job.
So
then what did we move to next?
So I went to Ray White Concierge, selling insurance. Had that problem on the phone I may have mentioned.
Yeah, we obviously won't talk.
We don't need to talk about
we don't. Well, let's just tell you what. Let's just gloss it. Let's just say that Ray White happened.
Yeah, and I went out to a bit of a boozy lunch and
you might as well just tell the story now.
I lost that job.
Right. Okay.
Due to phonetics malfunction. So we'll get rid of that one. And
phonetics malfunction. Yep.
But this whole time, I had when I first went over there, I registered my interest with Staging Connections, a big AV company in the world. Mm-hmm. And so they had no work for me until later down the track. So it was around the time that towards the end of the aircon job, I started moonlighting as a technician again.
Oh wow! Okay.
So learned a lot about all the other avenues of the world, so the video, draping and staging and all that kind of stuff. And so sort of honed my skills there. So by the time I'd lost my Ray White job, I asked them if they had any more hours, and they said, yeah, sure. And they just started chucking me as many hours as I could handle. Is this
like theatre work, or is this like live music production?
This is all corporate AV.
Right,
so
okay.
Really high-end events.
Right. Like really professional.
Very much so. So is it the Versace Hotel in Gold Coast, is it? I think that's a word. So really high-end hotel and really high-end events that we did there. That was just one of them. But where the client is paying $100,000 to $150,000 for one night.
Wow.
Yeah. So there'll be like a huge team of technicians all in there setting up.
Yeah.
We have 15, 20 technicians. And then the event will happen, like a really fancy poolside dinner type thing, and maybe some live entertainment from usually quite a famous person at the time. I can't remember who was performing around that period of time, because they're all Australian sort of singers that were famous there, but we wouldn't know here, which was cool.
Are we talking like Australian Idol, or
yeah, I think
like Guy Sebastian or someone like that?
Yeah, it would have been people like him.
Okay,
performing at these sorts of things.
Yep.
I don't know how much he would have been. Those sorts of people were getting paid, but if they were paying that much for just the AV side of things, that'd be
the artist would be getting paid quite a bit. Okay. Had you thought about possibly moving into or back into like theatre work, or maybe moving across to lighting for like big day out or like concerts or that sort of stuff?
I don't rate myself as a concert lighting designer. I can do it slowly over a long period of time. I come together with the designs and plotting the lights and programming and that kind of stuff. But off the cuff, it's called busking.
Oh, okay, right, yep.
Busking the lights and doing live effects and stuff like that, I'm not that confident with. But if I'd concentrated on it 100%, I could probably do that sort of stuff. But it doesn't sort of
not a specialty for you.
Not so much. Okay. I have definitely more enjoyed the more relaxed corporate event type stuff.
Yeah, better paying.
Absolutely, and usually quicker, less controversy, less questioning of the bills, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, because you're sort of. Do you get much prep with lead time? and that sort of thing?
Yeah,
Or
there is. It's usually the most organised out of everything. Because
Right.
if you can imagine that artists are a little bit more spontaneous and casual about the organisation of things, and
Yeah.
I'm one of those. I'm very disorganised as a person, as everyone will agree to. So if you're watching this, I apologise to all
There's
of
a
you.
fourth apology. Yeah.
I've just got a scatterbrain, and I'm pretty hectic when it comes to that. So
Chaotic.
yeah, definitely chaotic.
Okay.
Like
Right.
this whole thing.
like this podcast is going to be, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. I think the enjoyable thing about the podcast is that because there is no set, like I don't have 20 questions. I don't go, and question number 1, I ask questions, you answer them, and I just keep asking questions. So if this thing goes off the rails, which it has a couple of times, that'll be the podcast.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
And you know what? The people that listen and watch us appreciate the fact that everyone that we talk with is something different to offer. So, you know, we've had people that have spoken about their political stances, for example, and you know, a whole range of diverse topics that interest them. So, if this will be, we'll edit this and it'll go out to the world and it'll be what it'll be.
Oh no.
So I hope you've enjoyed your business.
Got all it lasted.
Believe Domino's are hiring.
Yeah, no. But
So I mean, I think the one of the things that interests me, because I did lighting when I was younger, not as much sort of design like as in looking at plans and stuff like that. What do you do now? Like, you obviously do corporate work. Is that sort of the main bread and butter?
yeah, for sure. We have a lot of schools calling. We have a lot of schools calling up and asking. I know it sounds bad, but it's not. We have a lot of schools calling up asking for stages, lighting, and audio stuff.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good at paying as well.
Yep.
And being regular customers, because they're doing the same thing every year.
Yeah.
So corporate, schools, and probably maybe 20-30% live entertainment.
Okay. So like when who's coming later on? Who's coming? Have we got LA? Is it LAB or 660?
LAB's in January, I think.
LAB's in January, which is good because that's actually roughly when this podcast will be out. So LAB guys, if you're listening, yep. Merry Christmas. So that you do like big events like that as well. Do you do Fritter Festival and those sorts of things as well?
I have been involved in Fritter in the past. Technically, we organised it was a couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a wee while.
I organised the stage and roof for the last one, and my friend Scott from Scott Sound in Hamilton did all the sound and lighting, which is cool. And if there is another one, then I'd definitely be interested. I love mixing bands, especially local original bands.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that that Whangarei Northland as a whole is sort of kind of missing, is just sort of starting to come back, is that real live big group, those big group events. Yeah, LAB will be amazing when they come to town. And I certainly hope we're able to get them on the podcast. That'd be great.
I'll send them a text. I don't have their number, but I'll text them for you.
Okay. That'd be amazing. And, so to sort of have a big event like LAB kind of kicking things off will be really, really cool, because, we had the, had the jazz festival up in Rhythm Jazz Festival in Paihia, and there was a whole bunch of different events that sort of went around.
Yeah, I think the country rock or something festival's coming up too.
Yep, that's right. So I mean, that'll be, hopefully we start seeing a few more of these, and obviously for yourself that then means more work, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm also just a champion for original music in general. My friends are the OTM band in Whangarei, and they've got amazing music production skill and songwriting skill. And there's other solo artists around the place that have originals, but they're too scared to do them out in public because they're worried they'll be judged. It's another small town thing. But we've got so much talent here and around Northland in general. But my advice is just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, and that's the whole reason we do this podcast is, we've had some very established people come on. We've had some people that are sort of growing themselves up. We had the guy Tama Himara. He goes by the name Anusta. He's a He's a smooth R&B hip hop DJ electronica type stuff. But he's played at the Butter Factory a few times. Man, he was super cool. All originals.
That's cool.
And it's lovely to see people that are willing to put their work out. And there's some of them that go, I don't actually care what people think. If they think negatively, that's fine. If they like it, that's good too. But they just want to get their work out. So, if your friends, we would love to have them on the podcast if they'd be interested.
I'm sure they would when they all get back together for their shows this summer.
Nice.
Very excited about that. They'll be playing at the. They've got their own show at Butter Factory, but they'll also be playing at the Christmas Festival down Poi Island. I think that's the 17th of December.
So that'll have happened by the time this one comes out. Wow. So hopefully that's been a big success.
In future us. Wow, that was a great success. It was really nice to see.
Great success. Amazing, guys. Congratulations. You killed it.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And there's tons of people that are writing and they're not so sure of themselves, but just keep doing it and show your friends, get it on the internet. I think it's the biggest thing. There's
such an easy way to get original music out nowadays, and if it's different as well or unique, or there's a unique voice there, highly encourage it. Highly encourage it. So, for yourself, with hopefully all of these big events coming up, what do you how long's Beltec been going?
I literally celebrated my 9th birthday 2 days ago.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you. It's been one hell of a ride.
Where do you see the company going long term? Based on where it started to where it is now, where do you see it leaning towards?
Just really focusing on working it into the ground at this point. And from this podcast, obviously.
It's great that you've had such a stellar career. I say that in the past tense. After this podcast comes out, but I am actually serious because, obviously you have a passion and a love for what you do, and the fact that you've been going 9 years in sort of a bit of a niche industry means you obviously don't suck too much. Where do you see the business going though?
So the other main AV company in Whangarei, the Sound Cave.
Yep.
We have essentially joined forces, maybe not officially, but we support each other with a lot of events now too, which has opened a lot of doors for both of us.
Wow. Okay.
And hoping we can develop that into being the sort of premier.
Will it be like a full merger or?
Oh, well, we'll have to see, I suppose, down the track. And obviously, I'm quite difficult to work with because I'm
challenging.
Yeah,
challenging.
Because I'm
unique.
I'm clumsy and forgetful, and
chaotic.
So we're just working through those things at the moment.
Right. Okay. I'm curious to know how you write that in the contract.
Stop it.
By signing this, I say I will not be as chaotic.
Yeah, there's other words you could use that have gone out of fashion too, but yeah.
Or you can't say on a podcast.
No, not at all.
Well, you could, but
cancelled. So that's where I see it going. I want to get out. I think every business owner intends on having other people run their company so they can sit on an island and write musicals or
drink Mai Tais or
White Russians with coconut milk.
So specific. So, and I think you raised a very, very good point, excluding the fact that you want to be on a beach making music with a White Russian. Because that's what you said, eh? A White Russian...
With coconut milk.
Right, okay.
Because I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay, fair enough.
Love cheese.
I'm really... Yep, okay, I've just got to get... Yep, we're going to get this back on track. We're going to get it back on track. So obviously your ultimate end game is to have a crew of people at the moment, because are you a one-man operation, or are there like 2 or 3 of you? It's
normally, for the most part, me plus an extra.
Right, okay, yep.
Like a sidekick. And then, they might move on again, and I'm left by myself.
Right.
But at the moment,
a little nugget of goodness then, yep.
A little nugget of goodness. And at the moment, we've got quite a cool little crew, and especially working with a Soundcave, between us, we've got a nice pool of capable people.
Right. But obviously you kind of want to get to the point where you can be less hands-on and more sort of focused on the business and the operations side of things?
No, I'd love to get rid
just
of that
be out
too.
completely. Right, okay.
But I understand that a big part of my business is me, and unfortunately there aren't a huge amount of people who are multi-disciplined anymore. There are quite a few in Auckland and the major centres, but it's starting to become a bit of a dying art. People wanting to specialise in things a lot more. So yeah, without me, it just doesn't seem to work. Which is
does that specialisation mean that the work gets a lot more? It sort of refines it and makes it more niche, doesn't it? Whereas being able to be quite broad, you're able to get more work and have more opportunities. Is that right?
To a certain point, like places like Auckland and anywhere where it's sort of like quite unionised, America and England, you
have to be quite niche, don't you? Yeah.
Legally, you have to employ someone to do that job. You can't have one person to do multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Here, where there's fewer technicians, but also maybe less work as well. You have to cross all those bases to keep those jobs. But even in Auckland and Christchurch, Wellington, you can be specialised because there's enough work to share with everyone. But in Northland, you sort of have to do it all.
Right, yeah. Jack of all trades, master of none type thing, right?
Pretty much.
And it really is that whole number 8 fencing wire, the great Kiwi DIY attitude.
Make it work.
Yeah. So what are the big jobs that you've sort of got coming up? Okay, well that's good. That's good. It sounds like nothing at the moment. So if anyone is looking for a lighting specialist, please feel free to reach out. It's www.beltech.co.nz.
Correct.
He is available. No, sorry, carry on.
When people ask me what's coming up, all I can see is my calendar condensed, and all I can see is just colours of blocks of how busy we are.
Right.
So
okay.
that's what I imagine. So I can't remember what we're actually doing, and that's why I'm so disorganised.
Right, but everything's colour coordinated.
By default, I suppose. But what's coming up? I've got the AMP show.
Yes, well so that's out Manu Showgrounds.
That's the one.
Yep.
Barge Park there. We've got lots of little stuff all happening at the same time as that too. So jobs stacked on top of each other. So we've got Horeke Whānau Day up in Horeke, up north.
Okay, yep.
North. That's going to be quite a cool little event.
Horeke and Horeke. Yep, that makes sense.
Totally, and that's why I like it, because it makes sense.
Yep.
And we've also got the Wadpa dance show coming up.
Yes. Holly Duda Joy, when she was on earlier this year, she spoke about that. When's that going to be coming up?
That is not this weekend, but the weekend after.
Okay, cool. So that's it's early December, right?
3rd of December, I think.
3rd of December, yeah. So that will have been a great success. This podcast will obviously come out in January. So, yeah. But again, very, very cool. I know that Holly was super excited to get kind of everyone that she's worked with in the school, and then all of the, some of the people that were coming back as well involved. So yeah, I know that will be an absolutely amazing success as well. Are you going to be doing LAB?
No, sometimes the touring companies will ask for extra crew. It's just labourers who can get the stage in and out and assist with that sort of stuff.
Yep.
It's quite stressful for not a huge amount of reward to organise a crew to do that, because sometimes, I've had people just not turn up when I've promised a crew of 5 or 6 turn up.
Right, yeah.
Some of them without wearing the appropriate clothes and stuff like that, and having to explain to the tour manager what happened, and then I'd end up into work even though I'm busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
But no, we don't tend to do the bigger stuff. They've got quite an efficient touring crew.
Bit of a streamlined show, eh?
Yeah, like a whole package.
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's cool seeing it all come together and seeing how touring companies tackle issues that smaller companies that don't tour deal with.
Do you find yourself still learning?
Yeah,
the trade and the craft?
Tons all the time. Each little world is a huge world. So audio in itself has both live audio, recording audio,
yep.
Corporate audio. Each discipline is huge. So yeah, it's just like a rabbit hole. Each thing you can definitely go down and learn as much as you can about each thing.
Yeah. When you do the different disciplines that you have, do you? For me, this is quite an interesting question. The reason I ask it is because when I was setting up the podcast, I went out and purchased all the gear. Is that how it works for you, or do you sort of hire as well? Because I know how much I spent here, and it's a number with 4 zeros.
Yep.
After it, and
yep.
You see what the operation looks like.
Well, it's but you've also gone and grabbed some good equipment too. So Shure is a great brand.
Yes.
Canon's a great brand.
Yes.
It's you've gone and bought quality gear. These mics are famous for their quality.
They are the Joe Rogan microphones.
That's the one, and they're quite directional. So you can see that there, isn't it?
Yes.
That's very intentional.
Yes.
But yeah, so I started in my parents' basement with 2 speakers, and I bought those speakers from doing the Girls High Dance show 1 year, and just used that money, bought those speakers online from an American website, and when they turned up, I was more excited than I'd ever been in my life. So then I realised that I went from charging money for my time, which I wasn't charging enough back then, because I was too shy to charge people money. So I found out as soon as you've got the equipment, you're making a huge amount more money, exponentially more money, by having the equipment as well. So that told me I needed to buy bits and pieces from each avenue to start off with, and then cross hire everything else. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because I imagine, for you it's lighting primarily.
One of our most popular things is staging.
Staging. Wow, okay.
So stage platforms for little gatherings and stuff like that, or right up to larger things for things like school kapahaka or prize givings at the end of the year.
Right.
Corporate events for award ceremonies and dinners and that kind of stuff.
But all of that stuff is quite big and large, I imagine that if you were to buy all of the gear that you need, that you would end up having like a big ass warehouse somewhere with bloody forklifts going, all right, time to load up the truck.
Well, yeah.
That's what I've got at the moment, it says.
When you get to that point, you end up with, you spend all your money on more gear.
Yes.
So it's a very asset heavy thing. So people come in and they say, "Wow, we've got so much gear," and all I can do is shudder and think it's just all liabilities. I've got to lift that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't look at it as affectionately as other people. But yes, there's quite a lot of gear, and I'm just a tiny little company too compared to obviously Oceania or those guys have been in it for a long time, but they've also, you got the cream of the crop of the brands and speaker systems and lighting systems there as well.
Yeah. Working, because obviously I did quite a bit of work for Oceania quite a few years ago, but watching how they put things together is amazing. Though the teams of people, like when you go and turn up and you're working with them for like a week on a show or something like that, the setup, and you go, oh right, everything's all been laid out, but all of the planning and preparation that's gone in before that,
tons,
would be exhaustive.
Yep. And you get that with experience. Obviously, they've been around for a long time. College Hill, Spotlight Services, all those big companies. They were around working in those big touring productions back in the 70s and 80s sort of things. The guy started those companies. So I would have loved to have been on like a Phil Collins concert or something in the mid 80s when everything was a lot bigger and heavier than it is now. But real skill sets and stuff.
Is it something that you want to work towards?
No.
You don't, no desire for it. You don't desire to be that big?
No, it would be great to look back on it and go, look how big my company is. But I really enjoy the idea of maybe being a medium-sized company, not a large, big, massive thing like that. Like I said, you just keep reinvesting your money, all your profits into getting bigger and better gear to do bigger and better shows, but it never ends. So
yeah, because there's always a new piece of kit that's coming out.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, I'm probably going to need that as well.
Yeah. Yes. So it's real cool buying stuff. I love buying new toys and tools, but it has to end somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But that's like asking technology to stop.
Well, I mean, I suppose size-wise, so we'll get to a point where, we might need 3 times the amount of gear that we actually got between us. It's just better to hire it, because buying it would be a couple $100,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that we're going to need serious equipment like that isn't going to be as common.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a profitable business decision.
No. So, again, I want to be sitting on those islands drinking those White Russians.
You want to be sitting on an island with a White Russian and coconut oil. Wait, no, it's coconut milk.
Milk, yeah.
Sorry.
But the coconut oil is fine. You can do a lot with coconut oil.
I shouldn't have opened my... Producer Andrew has once again lost the plot. It's just completely got off the rails.
So I'm a tiny little company now. I'd like to grow some more. I don't want to become a huge rental company like those guys. And I suppose the difference is they are rental companies, so they have the gear that other companies can rent on the bigger shows, whereas we work on our own shows and hire the gear that we've got. So we don't have the need to go out and buy these massive systems anyway. Nice.
Tim from Beltech, www.beltech.co.nz. It's honestly, as I said before, I never have any clue how these podcasts are going to go, and this has definitely been one of the most unique ones. So thank you very much from myself and for the listeners and viewers. We really appreciate you coming in and sharing some wonderful insight. I can't even say it with a straight face. Some wonderful insights into your life and your journey, because it's been very eclectic. And now is a really good time to look down the cameras, and if you have any more apologies that you'd like to offer, now seems very, very appropriate.
I'll just put it on the website. There's a few pages there. Scorned a lot of people.
Oh, Tim,
thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Well, folks, there it was. I hope you guys laughed as much as I did. This was so fun. Tim, mate, I know you said that you'll come back on, and honestly, with all our guests, mate, I'm going to love to have you on board. It's going to be an absolute hoot. Wow, where to start? Tim talking about sort of growing up and spending his formative years in Whangarei, talking very openly about his challenges with school and I think education in general. And then his time down in Auckland. Colourful. Colourful is a very good descriptive word that I would use to describe the podcast as a whole. I had such a fun time, and these podcasts are we don't plan any of this in advance. I've certainly mentioned it a few times in the podcast. We have forms that we send out to our potential artists, and it covers 4 topics: bit about your background, bit about what got you into the creative endeavor that you're in, bit about your influences, and what you've got coming up. Other than that, it really is it's a completely freeform podcast. That way, it encourages the guests to just be a little bit more open and honest. So we never know what we're going to get, and every podcast has been different, right from our very first one with Aki Fukuoka, all the way through to this one, and then all the ones that'll be coming up as well. We have no clue. It's just all on the fly, and that's what makes each podcast so different and so much fun. And we're always learning stuff, and it's really cool because everyone watching and listening gets to learn about the artist as well. So, Tim, mate, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So, where can you find our podcast? Well, you can find us for the visuals. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Northland Artist Conversation. You can find us on audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts at Northland Artist Conversation. And if you're an artist and we don't know about you, or if you're someone that watches or listens to the podcast and you know someone that you think might be really cool, please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. And that email address is hello@northlandartistconversation.co.nz. And on top of all of that, we have a Patreon page as well. Patreon is where you, the listener or viewer, can support the podcast a little bit more. We have 2 tiers. First tier we have is Coffee Addict, and that's $5 a month, so reasonably priced. Second tier we have is Coffee Addict, and that's $20 a month. With that tier though, you get a couple of extras. You get to find out who's coming up on the podcast, and if you want to ask a question as well, you have the ability to ask that, and I will actually during the podcast ask the guest that specific question as well, and you also get a shout out as well. And here we go with our 2 patrons that we've got. Big shout out to Michael Boter, former guest of the podcast, and Lauren Roach, who was absolutely amazing. Check out her podcast, phenomenal lady, super cool. So thank you very much to both of you. We really, really appreciate the support. Absolutely means the world to us. And you can find that information at www.patreon.com/Northland Artist Conversation, or go to Google, type in Patreon, that's Patreon, top right hand corner, and then search Northland Artist Conversation, and you will find us there. It's pretty easy and pretty breezy. So man, we're in January. It's just so hot at the moment. But that's the thing. I love summer. I came to Whangarei because originally I'm from Gisborne, but when I moved to Whangarei, I loved the area, loved the region, and the beaches are amazing. So summer, good times. My favourite surf spot is Matapuri. Great out there. It's amazing. So I hope you guys have all had a fantastic Christmas and a wonderful New Year's. And if you're still on holiday, that's amazing. And if you're not, maybe, hopefully don't work too hard when you're starting off in the new year. But guys, it's summer. Let's make the most of it. Beautiful long days, summer beaches, Kiwi barbecues. Can't think of anything more amazing. If that's not your thing, whatever you're into, I hope you enjoy it the most. So, going to the wide, my name is Mark Kelly. My co-host Andrew McKenzie normally sits there. He says hi as well. Thank you very much for watching the Northland Artist Conversation, and we will see you guys real soon.